From Sigma Woman, this is the Business for Aligned Women podcast. I'm your host, Clara McKay, your aligned business coach and advocate for all things showing up for your vision. This is a no BS space for brave-hearted women who are actually craving change. I'm dedicated to bringing women's visions into reality, equipping women with all they need to build an abundant future, and shutting down all of the ways that you keep yourself small. Here, we're all about a women-centered approach, non-negotiable value alignment, and making bank without compromising your well-being. Each week, you're already one step closer to your most aligned and abundant future. This week, we're talking about how your thoughts build or destroy your business. And we're going to be getting into that and why you need to be thinking about that and why your thoughts are so powerful in your business's success. I want to invite you to book a free call to talk to me about aligned business coaching this year, because I am now booking out my final spaces for 2024. I know it's like May, but I'm booking out the last spaces I have for this year. So if you were thinking about coaching this year, it's time to book that call and start having that conversation. And there's so much preparation that you have to do for working with me, and there's a lot of mindset work. Even if you book in for late in the year, don't worry, that time is going to go so quickly. If you're like, I do want to do coaching, but I'm not ready to invest in one-to-one, I do have a group program coming up in October that's going to be all around building the healthy mental, emotional foundations that you need in order to have long-term success as a business owner. And you can apply for that program in my show notes. Let's talk about this idea of your thoughts building your business. This is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I'm not one of those woo-woo people who thinks your thoughts create your reality, but I am very into Stoicism, which actually says a lot of our power and our energy is drained by our judgments of things. So rather than thinking your thoughts are bad, it really says your judgments are bad. And when you take your judgments of things away, they have a neutral charge. So for instance, if you post something on Instagram and it gets one like and you thought it was really great and no one else even sees it, you could be really upset about that. You could be really angry about that. If you take your judgment away of that is a bad thing, it no longer has any feeling and it's just a neutral experience. Today, I specifically want to address victim mentality. We will do another episode later on talking about the opposite, growth mentality, growth mindset, how to build that up. But the point of today's episode is to get you some more self-awareness around what this can look like, because victim mentality can be incredibly sneaky and incredibly subtle. So let's talk about victim mentality and why it's incredibly harmful for the long-term growth of your business. If you're in a victim mindset, which is sometimes called a fixed mindset, these are some of the checkpoints that you need to think about to see if you're actually in this mindset. You'll avoid challenges. You'll either avoid or ignore feedback. You'll be led by your past experiences or your hurt, and you'll really be using them as your main reasons why not to do things or try things. You'll be threatened or jealous of other people's success, and you'll be guided by how you want to be perceived rather than how you really are. We spoke about this a couple of episodes when we spoke about nice girl syndrome, and if you resonate with that last point, I strongly suggest you go back and listen to that episode. And the last thing, which is the most common thing that I see, is you'll give up quickly or you'll change your commitments easily, which results in this stop-start, inconsistent, never fully completing, uprooting energy. The sad thing about that last point is, from a psychological perspective, that's where we build confidence and self-esteem. And in order to feel confident, we really need to have a healthy reputation with ourselves. If we're never finishing anything, we don't get the opportunity to build a healthy reputation with ourselves. When you're in victim mindset, you'll carry the emotions or energies of judgment, avoidance, procrastination, hiding, and resentment. And I feel like a lot of people listening to this might relate to the hiding and resentment cycle of the, I'm not going to show up online, but I'm going to watch everyone else who is. I'm going to kind of nitpick them and feel resentment about why I can't do it or why I would do it better, but I'm not going to actually complete the cycle of doing it. And it really breeds this very low-lying resentment and frustration that will eventually either make you explode or go into massive burnout. Some of the kind of mottos of someone who's in victim mindset is frustration is a sign to give up. Or I would even change that to say discomfort is a sign to give up. There's a real body of people who have this idea that they should feel 100% comfortable 100% of the time. And that's not how growth works. And also, stress is actually very good for us in many different ways in small doses around specific things. Stress actually gives us the ability to be resilient and have perseverance. And if we're never uncomfortable, we will never grow. And we'll also not be resilient. It'll be really easy to knock us off track. Another motto is I give up whenever it doesn't feel perfect. And I see this a lot as well of people wanting their business to kind of be this merry-go-round, happy, fun, fluffy, creative thing all the time. And it's just not going to be reality. Of course, you can set things up to feel that way. That's what we do in Aligned Business. But you have to put in the work if you want to actually get somewhere. You can't have these expectations that are not in alignment with your efforts and thinking that you're going to have massive shifts in your life while you're putting in the bare minimum. It's just like insane. And the last little very sneaky one that I see very commonly, and I see this a lot with people who have little kids, and I know it's fair enough, but if you want to build a business and you have little kids, you need to watch this one. And it's, I'm waiting to clear the decks. I'm waiting for a time when things are perfect. This is actually called the clear the decks fallacy in business. It's actually got a title. And it means that I'll get to it when everything's perfect. Things will never be perfect. And the problem that I see with that is that the kind of people who have that way of approaching things usually are very bad at boundaries. And if you don't have boundaries, other people's needs will come into the place that your boundaries should have been protecting. And that means that if you say, in May, I'm going to set aside time to work on my business, you probably won't have actually instated the boundaries that will enable you to do that. So when May rolls around, your kid will get sick or something will happen with someone else, you'll have to pick up a shift at work or whatever, and you just won't ever get there. It's a really, really dangerous, sneaky one. And it's one of the reasons why I like things like the monthly Notion board or the yearly business planner, just to check in on, you've been saying for 4 months that you're going to do this thing that you haven't done, and watching that. So I want to finish up by giving you some tips to start letting go of victim mentality. And some of these might seem like a bit random. They're getting you to move towards cultivating a growth mindset, but they're also short-circuiting a lot of the tendencies that happen in victim mentality. The first one, you're probably going to be shocked with, but it's a 30-day no complaining challenge. And it's going to get you to become very conscious of your negative judgment around things. And it's going to get you to notice when you lean on bad things as a reason why and an excuse. And it's also going to get you to see how, if you're approaching things with a negative mindset, you're probably draining quite a bit of your energy. And I would say complaining and gossiping, you probably should do them at the same time, because I really feel like they have a similar energy. And it's just so boring to be around someone who spends most of their communication complaining. Like, you don't want to be that person. You want to be an interesting person. So have a look at that. The next one is to start looking for opportunities in your obstacles. Whenever an obstacle comes in your way, for instance, your kid gets sick, I would think of that as a time, well, I'm going to spend that time brainstorming something in my head and maybe I'll do some voice notes when my kid's napping. Yeah, I'm not going to get to do the big task that I wanted to do, but I'm not just going to drop everything. I'm going to kind of use the situation to my advantage. A really simple one that comes up every single month on this, if you have your period, is you are not going to want to do much before your period and you might feel a bit low. So that's a really good time, especially like day one of your period, to do a very gentle journaling reflection practice on how you felt about your business the month before. And there's neuroscience behind this, because at that point in your cycle, your brain is really close to a meditator's brain. You're really good at your insight, your intuition, and decision making at that point in your cycle. So rather than going, I'm going to do nothing and I'm just going to veg for 5 days, go, well, I'm at least going to sit down with a nice cup of tea and a hot water bottle in my journaling, and I'm going to use the energy that I have in this obstacle to actually give me something. And this isn't about being productive, it's about harnessing the energy of the obstacle. Think about what obstacle is in your way and how can you use it. The next two ones are take envy as guidance. If you're feeling very jealous or very envious of someone else, that's your brain, your body, your spirit trying to tell you and nudge you in the direction of action and tell you this is what you should be focusing on, this is what you care about, and just use that as guidance. The last one is extracting yourself from your business. And I do have an episode on this titled You Are Not Your Business. So I would go back and listen to that one. I had a call with a client this week, and she was 7 days before, she had told me that she was feeling the most confident she had been feeling in a very long time. 7 days later, she's about to get her period and she comes onto the call just very, very down, very, very up, really negative, glasses on, the opposite of rose tinted, black tinted glasses on, looking at her business. And one thing that really helped her was just going, hey, like, you need to separate the way you're feeling from your business. It's okay for you to feel like shit. It's okay for you to have an off day or take the day off. Just knowing that when you actually separate them, then they can both have negative things happen and not impact each other. But if they're constantly impacting each other, no wonder you're unable to be consistent. I feel like this episode might bring a lot up for a lot of people. So please send me a DM if you have any thoughts or feelings. I would love to chat about it. And I hope that you have pulled some gold nuggets from it. If you can't tell, getting to share this time with you is something that I find truly sacred. I know that you're busy, but if you've taken anything away from our time spent together today, could you extend the love and share this episode with a friend, your community, or on your socials? Tag me so that I can see it and I can share it too. Or when you have a spare moment, leave the podcast a review. These things cost you nothing and will mean so much to me. Let's get this resource into the hands of more women visionaries and help us collectively move towards our most aligned way of being and doing business together.